So welcome to Hembant.
Thank you.
It's I'm really glad that some people have turned up to explore what it feels like to be at this kind of solstice point. Technically, the solstice is next week, but it's an interesting time of year, isn't it? Because everything is like so intense, everything is so expanded. Like there's so much light. There's so much light. There's evenings of the light. What's that? There's been so much intense warmth over the last couple of weeks. And there's also been, in the last few days, there's been this intense heaviness with patches of rain. And as I say, we're still a bit in the sort of rainy zone today. So we're kind of inside in the big barn at Hembant. So yeah, what does that mean, that expandedness? For me, like what we're exploring today is this tension of opposites. So I want you to notice in your practice, whenever you go to a place that is that has got like a sense of extremity or opposites. Every time you're in an opposite, you're in a kind of polar situation where it could be sort of black and white, it could be masculine and feminine, it could be expanded and contracted. And it can seem in some ways that you have to choose one or choose the other. But I'm really curious about what happens when you embrace both. It's like, what if some parts of your body are hot and some parts of your body are cold? Can you sit with both at the same time? What if some parts of your body feel stiff and tight and some parts of your body feel open? Like, can there be the space for both? Because I think for me, it's one of the things about becoming a more useful adult is to be able to say, actually, there's difference. People have difference of opinions. You know, two of my friends might fall out with each other. Can I actually still have compassion for both of them? Like, can there be, do I have to make one right and one wrong? Or can I just choose to like recognize there's difference, there's opposites, there's polarity, and sometimes we can explore embracing both of those things. So that's the plan for today. Let's start with some really simple kind of mobilization and somatic practice, just to kind of come into our bodies and get started with that. So if you lie down on your mat, if you're not already, lie down and find yourself kind of comfortable position on the floor. I'm going to plug in my coffee so the sound is clear. So yeah, lying down and just starting with your breath, really starting with a sense of, on my side, that's weird. Starting with your breath and noticing any opposites in your breath. Is your breath smooth? Is your breath jagged? Are there parts of your breath that is fast, parts of your breath that is slow? And there are parts of your breath or your breathing apparatus that feel constricted and parts that feel open. And then we'll move through a few somatic exercises where the focus is going to be contracting contracting a particular area of your body or set of muscles, and slowly releasing that area. And in that, I want you to feel into that space in between muscles being contracted and tight and muscles being kind of relaxed. It's not so much about stretching, it's about learning to kind of contract and release, because through that release often you can reset the muscles so that they're not so tight and tense. They can just reset to their natural length. It's not about stretching, it's not about overstretching, it's not about making the muscles longer, it's about bringing them back to their natural length. So with your knees bent, focusing on your lower back first for cat exercise 1. Inhale and make an arch with your lower back, lifting your lower back away from the floor, but keeping your hips and your shoulders on the floor. Exhale, very slowly release whatever that work, that action, that contraction has been. So inhale. It's a slight contraction around your lower back as you increase the curve in your lower back. And then as you exhale, slowly releasing and letting go. Playing with that, to do 3 more rounds of that. And then after the round you're on, shift into stillness. Being really still. Because one of the tensions and polarities in our lives is the fact that we can be still and we can be moving. And often that's a very different experience within our own nervous system, like the experience of stillness, experience of movement. This is cat exercise 4. Take your right hand behind your head. Rest your head in your right hand. Have your right elbow pointing up towards the ceiling. Knees are still bent. Okay. Next time you exhale, lift your head up off the floor, lift your left foot up the floor, and bring your right elbow and left knee in towards each other. Inhale, slowly release that, slowly coming back down to the floor. Exhale, lifting up, elbow and knee moving towards each other. Notice where the contraction with this is. Inhaling, releasing the contraction as you come back down to the floor. Staying with the same side, just exploring this movement. Being present to your body as you notice the different, the opposites, and just the range of sensation that arises. One more on the same side. And then before we go on to the next side, let's just pause. Pausing and noticing your right side and your left side. The ways in which they feel the same, the ways in which they feel different. in these moments of pause, being with stillness. And then switch hands. So take your left hand behind your head, left elbow pointing up towards the ceiling. And next time you exhale, lift your head and your left elbow up, lift your right foot up, elbow and knee moving towards each other. Inhaling and slowly letting go, coming back down. Exhaling, lifting up. Paying attention to that sense of contraction and then release. Let this be the last round. After that, settling into any comfortable rest position. For some moments of stillness. And then we'll do a lying down twist, but with an arm movement as well. I'll demonstrate this sitting up, but you'll do this lying on the floor. Turn your head to the right, turn your right hand up and your left hand down. Inhale, turn your head to the middle. Exhale, turn your head to the left, turn your left hand up, right hand down. Inhale, head to the middle. Exhale, head right. Hand that you're looking at faces up, other hand faces down. Keep going with that. Letting the whole arm turn, like the, all the way from your shoulder to your fingertips is rotating. And you can add in a knee movement as well if you want. So whichever direction you're looking at, take your knees in the opposite direction. So you're adding your knees into this moving twist. So there's a sense of kind of gently spiraling. Staying present to sensation as you continue with this twist, and notice notice opposites, notice different sensations.
How old are they?
Being gentle with your practice and doing this as much or as little as feels useful for you right now. Okay. Then come into stillness, bring your knees to the middle. Rest your hands somewhere comfortable. There is a dog. If the dog means you can't be still because he's trying to lick your face or her, That's okay. Whoosh, shush, whoosh. Then roll yourself onto one side and sit up. I can't remember the name of this dog, but she lives on the farm. This dog. Oops. That was the dog. That was the dog tipped me over. There we go. Come up to sitting. Are there any kind of opposites that you've noticed or that you've identified that are arising for you today? If you're on Zoom, feel free to unmute, or if you're in the room, feel free to shout out.
Only in terms of one-side stretch.
Okay.
Tension and relaxation.
One side stretching or opening, the other side compressing. Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Holding and letting go.
Ah, difference between coolness and warmth. Is that in your body or around you?
I think, mostly around me.
Yeah.
It's cool and yet it's warm.
It's in the environment. Yeah, it is interesting, isn't it? It's cool and warm at the same time. It's sort of been really hot. It's quite muggy, but actually it's a little bit cool too. How about you, Siobhan? Were you about to say something?
Yeah, what came up was like tension and relaxation and holding and letting go.
Ah, great. So holding and letting go.
Mm.
If you want to add anything, feel free, but you don't have to. Oh, I see this is coming again. All right, cool. Well, let's continue with this exploration now. Now I'm just upright, sitting cross-legged or sitting any way that feels comfortable for you, or you could sit in a chair as well. That's also an option. We'll do a few things from seated. Just start by taking your waist in some circles, just quite gently. Moving your middle. There are loads of birds roosting right above me. Can you still hear okay? Yeah. I don't know if you can hear the I don't know if you can hear or not. But oh no, they've gone away now. And circle your waist the other way. Now we'll do some Brahmari breath where we're humming and sending that sound to different parts of our bodies. And I want you to notice how that will land differently, how you have different sensations in different areas. Let's start with the easy one, which is humming and getting your chest to vibrate. So rest your hands on your upper chest. Inhale through your nose and then hum really loudly 3 times. Really, really loud humming. I apologize if you can't hear me humming on Zoom. I am humming really loudly. It's just Zoom's like, turns it down. 2 more. The hum is the exhale. The hum kind of makes the exhale really slow, basically. Let's do one more into this area. Get this part of you to vibrate. You have kind of resonators in your chest that help your vocal sound to go out. So just one more, really feeling for like the actual tissues of this area vibrating. Great. Then this is a bit trickier to feel. Take your hands down to your belly. You need to relax your insides for this one and use a low note. A low note is going to travel further down, might travel further. So let's do three Brahmari breaths, 3 hums with a low note. feeling for connecting with your belly and your pelvis. Again, volume is helpful. One more. Okay, now bring your hands onto your head, and we'll vibrate and resonate like a skull, your skull in your brain. I quite like to do this with like one hand on the forehead, one hand on the back of the head. And sometimes I find kind of taking my sound slightly nasal and maybe a little bit higher helps me to get my brains to vibrate. So let's do 3 here, inhaling through your nose and then humming. You can take your note higher or lower if that feels helpful to find a pitch that works for you. Let's do one more really loudly. Wow, I could really feel that one vibrating my brainstem. Just take a couple of slow, deep breaths now. Just noticing the effects of that pranayama. If that had any internal effects, or just how you feel in this moment. Great. Come onto your hands and knees. Let's work with the subtle movement of hip tilts. Feeling for how this is a small external movement, but actually quite a significant internal movement. So as you inhale, I want you to really let go of your belly and relax your lower belly. Let that drop down. And as you do that, allow your tailbone to release upwards. So you're increasing the curve in your lower back at that point. On your exhale, you reverse that, pulling your lower belly in and up and letting your tailbone tilt that down. So at this point, I'm engaging my lower belly muscles, also slightly engaging my lower buttock muscles as well to tilt the other way. The tailbone is pulling down. So an inhale, it's more of a sense of releasing the buttocks, the belly, letting your tailbone release upwards. On your exhale, then there's a bit more engagement in the lower belly, maybe buttocks. Tailbone pulls downwards. Continuing this like at your own pace, at your own rate, just focusing on moving the base of your spine and your lower back. So not moving your head, not moving your mid-back. Can you just focus on getting this movement around it's really just around the sacrum and the tailbone and the lower back. It's not so much your head. How do you make the most of this subtle movement? And then take a pause, come into child's pose or any resting posture. I quite like to do this with making a pile of my forearms and then resting my head on my forearms, or resting my head on the floor or a block. Connect your breath with your sacrum, with the back of your pelvis. Sacrum is very mysterious. I'm not going to talk too much about the sacrum because I'm going to do my July workshop on the sacrum. but it's a fascinating joint because it's mostly stable. It doesn't move very much, but there is the potential for it to move a little bit. So noticing as you connect your breath to the back of your pelvis, whether that feels like an area that's sort of static or stiff, or whether it feels like there's even subtle movement as you connect your breath there. Then come back onto your hands and knees. Just a couple of those pelvic tilts. Just that movement that's just isolated really to the base of your spine. And then I want you to explore allowing that to become a bigger movement involving more of your body, or maybe your whole body. Whether you want to do sort of circles or side bends or cat-cows, just allowing yourself to move more freely and to explore any or all of the different movements possible from here. Moving however feels good in your body. Whether that's a small movement or a big movement, really being guided by what feels nice right now or feels interesting. You know, and there may be, again, there may be opposites. There may be places that feel good to move, places that feel stiff and don't want to move so much right now. There isn't. What for me is quite nice about embracing opposites is that in a way it kind of pulls things back to being a bit more non-dual, where it's like, well, both are there, but neither is right or wrong. Okay. Now come on to your back. Somebody showed me some interesting psoas release stuff yesterday, so that's always fun. Let's have a go with that. Are you laughing, Pat? Why are you laughing at the notion of psoas release? You're a yoga teacher. All yoga teachers like psoas release. Possibly. We'll see. Okay. So for this first one, you could watch me if you want to see. You could just about see. You'll be lying on your back. One knee is bent. The other leg is straight. And the other leg is straight with the... Is that even in shot? There we go. The other leg is straight, and on the straight leg, the toes are turned out. So your straight leg's in external rotation. And the movement here is, say on inhale, to lift your straight leg like an inch or two, not very high at all, just a tiny, tiny bit. And then as you exhale, you slowly, slowly, slowly release that. When I do that, I discover I have loads of tension in my quads. But I'm trying to access my psoas, which runs between the front of that hip and like the back of the rib cage in the middle. It's a muscle that crosses the contents of the abdomen. Okay, so let's do this first. Say with right leg bent, left leg straight, lying on your back, left leg is rotated out. So on inhale, lifting your left leg just a tiny bit, like it barely has to clear the floor. And then slowly, slowly release that down. Can notice what feels like it's contracting and releasing in this. Do two more very slowly. You're not using your bent leg, and you're not taking your straight leg high. It's not about taking the leg high at all. It's a real tiny movement. If this feels not okay right now, just visualize the movement instead. Okay. That's enough. Just pause for a moment. Maybe bend both knees. Observing any sensations that arise. And then straighten out your right leg. Left leg is bent. Externally rotate your right leg so your right toes point out. Great. Same thing. Do 3 or 4 on this side. Remembering to not lift the leg too high, just an inch or 2. And then release, release slowly as you come down, being aware of what parts of you are getting involved in that movement. Not so much using the left leg. Perhaps connecting to your psoas muscle on the right side, like a psoas major. After that, just lie with both legs straight or both knees bent if that feels better. Observing your body and your spine. Just noticing. What happened in that movement? Okay, let's do another movement now. Bend both of your knees. This is more about connecting to the psoas minor, which is kind of sort of just lower down above the pelvis, above the pubic bone. So rest both your hands just above your pubic bone on your lower belly, or right the lower belly, just sort of, yeah, great. The movement we'll do here is on exhale, you press your feet down, kind of gather your lower belly in, tilt your tailbone up, flatten your lower back. And then inhale, release that. It's a bit like a pelvic tilt, but a little bit different. So on exhale, lower belly gathering in, lower back pressing down, tailbone tilting up. You could lift your hips like an inch, half an inch off the floor. It's quite a strong tilt. Inhale, releasing that slowly, releasing whatever that contraction has been. Play with that a few more times. This is more in the muscles at the front than the back. So not so much buttocks this time. Think about like front of the hips. And also not overusing the legs. Just one more. Noticing the contraction and then the release. And then settle into stillness for a few breaths. Noticing what arises in stillness. what the effects of those two poses were, those two movements. That's right, just enough. All right, then bend your knees, roll onto one side, and sit up. Let's see how we're doing for time. You haven't switched your phone off either. Oh, turn your phones off if your phone's not off. And then after that, let's come into a really simple seated twist. You could be in any leg position for this. And sit on a block if that feels helpful. And then twist around to your right. Take your left hand onto your right knee, right hand behind you. Just feel for having your spine upright. And then close your eyes and notice what opposites you're aware of. Sound or silence, movement or stillness, busyness or quiet, tension, relaxation, or anything that arises for you as you tune in inside. Just being present to your experience of this moment. And then turn yourself the other way in whatever twist you're doing. Continuing that practice of paying attention internally. Noticing differences, noticing opposites. Notice if you when you identify these opposites, that you're much more in one than the other. Can you embrace them both equally? And then unwind from that. Interlace your hands together and do some wibbly arm movements with your hands, using kind of getting into any and all the sort of movements of your wrists, and elbows, and shoulders that are possible, using the space around you. Okay. And then let's do a little bit for our hips and legs. So let's make our way up to standing. We'll do another sort of 5-10 minutes of practice, which will be kind of fairly gentle, and then we'll go into like a 5-10 minute tea break. And then the second half of the practice is going to be a little bit more sort of dynamic and sort of like what do I say? Not forceful, but a little bit more sort of like intense. But let's stay with this sort of like fairly gentle kind of fairly gentle kind of like rate for now. And we'll do a few things standing. So come up to standing. I'm just resetting this. Can I see what's going with my thing? That's just about, yeah, you can see me. Yes. Okay, good. So coming into mountain pose first, find your mountain pose. Being in stillness in mountain to begin with. And notice how even in that stillness, there's movement. Like your heart is still beating, your blood is flowing, your breath is still flowing. And around you, the world is still moving, even if you're a mountain. Even if you're a mountain. Pesky clouds and animals and birds and insects, you know, they keep moving, don't they? And they're growing, and nature is growing like crazy with all this rain. Then soften your knees, but keep your hips static and swing your arms. Maybe doing a little kidney tap with the arm that's swinging behind. Bring in some gentle movement. Keeping your hips fairly still, but can you rotate your upper body? There we go. Yeah. Letting your arms be quite floppy. Great. And then bring your hands down to your hips, and we'll move our hips. So exploring how big a circle can you make with your hips. Noticing how you may be feeling really different things at the front of your hips, at the sides of your hips, at the back of your hips. And then circle the other way around. And now keep your hips fairly static, but circle your tailbone, which is my new favorite thing to do. So it's like you're drawing a circle in the air with your tailbone. Again, this is kind of quite subtle movement where it doesn't look like there's a lot going on the outside, but it's quite sophisticated inside. The connection you need to your pelvic floor, to all these subtle movements, to all these subtle muscles and so on around your pelvis. Circle that the other way. Okay. Now stand on one leg. If you're feeling wobbly, hold on to a wall or a chair or something, and circle one leg. So circle one ankle, and circle your wrists. Circle one or both wrists. Reverse the direction. And then change sides. Moving the other ankle. And the other way. Okay, then switch legs again. This time, focus on movement at your hip joint. Just tune into whether you want to make little circles or big circles, like whatever feels useful for making a bit of space, or just bring a bit of lubrication to your hip. Circle that same leg the other way. Notice the difference between what's happening in one leg and the other leg. It's quite different action. All right, change around. And then same thing on the other side. Bringing some movement to your hip joint. So one leg's kind of static and taking all the weight. The other leg is moving. And then circle that leg the other way. Great. Come back into mountain pose. And we'll just do some side. Ooh, the birds are flying in and out here. Doing some sideways movement now. Next time you exhale, let yourself ease into a side bend. Letting your head be part of that movement. And inhale, straightening your spine, come to the middle. Exhale, tilting to the other side. Just playing with a side bend, feeling for your whole spine being involved with this. And notice the difference between one side and the other. Is it easier to go left or right? Does it feel like you have more movement on your left or your right? Great. Come back to being central. Step your feet a little bit wider apart. And let's do a bit of sort of forward bending. Yeah, a little bit of forward bending and moving our arms around. If your lower back is not so much into forward bends, you don't need to come into a deep forward bend. You could stay quite high. If your lower back feels fine with deeper forward bends, you could come lower down. Okay. So start with your hands in prayer position. Inhale, reach your hands out to the side. Press your hands to the side, stretching out your arms. Knees are bent. Exhale, come into a forward bend. Either have your hands on your thighs or let your arms dangle down. Inhale, come up to standing, keep your knees bent. When you're standing, take your arms forwards. Exhale, hands into prayer position. We'll do this a few times. You could do it slower or faster, whatever feels good to you. So inhale. Exhale, forward. Inhale, coming forwards and up. Exhale, hands into prayer position. Just continuing this. And then staying upright, slightly different arm movement. Inhale, arms out to the side. Exhale, bring your hands together, bring your hands down to your heart. Feeling your feet on the ground. Let's do that 3 more times. Your sense of really landing in your feet, in your body. Thank you. So let's take a break now, and a little tea break. Up there in the corner of the barn, there are tweety things. It sounds like there's about there's like dozens of tweety things, but I think there's only 1 or 2. But this is the barn where we're doing yoga. And this board is where they've got all the details of their market garden, because there's vegetable boxes. So there's lists of turnips and salad and beetroot and monchou and radish and that sort of thing. And then out here, that's some kind of wood store, woodworking area. Over there, that's where they're growing stuff, most of the food. And then there's a lot more farm that way, including this thing over here, which says. So I'll show you this. It says campsite, barn and kitchen, naked yoga, and probably. Now I don't think they've ever actually had naked yoga here. Certainly I've never been involved in naked yoga. And yeah, but there we go. I don't know that naked yoga actually ever had. Well, no, I think, yeah, naked yoga happens in places like London and Manchester, that kind of thing. But anyway. For this section, we'll start off with some sun salutations with a chair. So have a chair at one end of your mat. If you want to rotate around a bit more, feel free to do that. If you don't have a chair and you just want to do sun salutations without the chair, you are also very welcome to do that. But I'm going to demonstrate. Both to begin with. There we go. Oh, now you can't see the top of my head. Okay. So part 2. So moving into a dynamic that's a little bit more about movement and a little bit more intense. Let's start with a few sun salutations, but we'll ease into it. So I'm going to show you sun salutations with a chair. And this is a great option if coming down to the floor and coming up and down to the floor isn't working for you today, either because your knees feel sore, or because it feels stressful to your back or your shoulders, or because the intensity level's too much. Sometimes doing it with a chair can just kind of make it a little bit less, well, it basically raises the floor up, so the floor is not quite so far away. So have the chair at one end of your mat, in front of you, one of the short ends of your mat, and stand right up against the chair to begin with. Bring your hands into prayer position, close your eyes, and tune in internally. Coming back into that sense of your inner world. Whatever aspects of opposites you are exploring. Being here at this moment, really close to the summer solstice, in this moment of openness and expansion, of light, of warmth, of summer. Okay, so let's move through this slowly. Inhale, arms go forwards. Exhale, forward bend. Bring your hands onto the chair. Bend your knees, relax your head. Lunge with a knee up. Inhale, step your left leg back. Balancing on your toes. Exhale, bring your hands up onto your hips. Inhale, reach your arms up into the air. Downward facing dog with hands on the chair. Exhale, bring your hands down to the mat, but down to the chair. Step your right leg back. So you're in a downward facing dog, but with your hands on the chair. Inhale and widen your shoulders. Exhale, activate your feet. Inhale and come up to standing. Bring your hands on your hips and come into a mini back bend, lifting your chest up. Exhale, come back to being straight. And then we'll do a lunge on the other side. So inhale, step your left leg forwards, balancing on your right toes. Exhale, feel for your torso being upright. Inhale, arms reach forward. Exhale, forward bend, hands on the chair, step forwards, relax your neck. Inhale, lift your torso up, reach your arms forwards. Exhale, hands into prayer position. Inhale, arms forward. Exhale, forward bend, hands on chair. Inhale, lunge, balancing your toes. Right leg steps back. Lifting your torso up, lifting your arms up. Let's hang out here for 3 deep breaths. You can bend your back knee a little here. Downward facing dog with hands on the chair. So bring your hands down, walk your left foot back, set up in a downward sort of facing dog sort of shape. If the seat of the chair feels too low, you can also do this with the hands on the back of your chair. Wrap your shoulder blades towards your armpits, outwardly rotating your upper arms. And then take your hands on your hips, come up to standing. Inhale into a mini standing back bend. Keep your chin tucked in. Exhale, coming back to straight. And lunge on the other side. Step your right foot forward, left foot back, balancing on your left toes. And then reach your arms up. And then bring your hands down to the floor, onto the chair. Go into a forward bend, hands on the chair. Inhale and stand up. Reach your arms forward. And exhale, hands into prayer position. Campers are just woken up. Great. Everybody doing okay? Yeah, let's do another 2 of those. If you're hating sun salutations with a chair, you could do the version instead with the knee down without the chair. So as an option, you could do that instead. If you're enjoying working with the chair, then keep working with the chair. I quite like it because it kind of feels like it sort of takes me out of extremes in a way. But yeah, up to you. We'll do 2 more rounds, fairly slow rounds. But as I say, either with a chair or without the chair is up to you. So hands in prayer position. Inhale, arms forwards. Exhale to a forward bend. Lunge. Inhale, step your left leg back. Reach your arms up. Let's stay here. Spread your fingers out. Slightly widen your shoulders. And as we explore this more intense half of the class, again, notice if the same pairs of opposites arise or different ones. Downward facing dog with hands on the chair, or if you're doing this on the floor, you'd come into a plank and then cobra and then down dog. Come up to standing and inhale into a standing back bend without pushing your hips forwards. Keep your chin tucked in. Lift your chest. Exhale, reorientating to being standing straight. And then come into a lunge with your left foot forwards. Balancing on your back toes, arms up. Or if you're on the floor, you'd be doing the knee down version. And then bring your hands down, step into a forward bend. Inhale and lift up. Exhale, hands come back to prayer position. One more round. Inhale, arms forward. Exhale, forward bend. Lunge right leg back. Downward facing dog with hands on the chair, or if you're on the floor doing plank, cobra, downward dog. Coming up to standing into standing back bend. Back to straight, and then into the lunge again with the right foot forwards. And bring your hands down, step into a forward bend. Coming up. And settle your hands into prayer position. Take a moment in mountain pose. Just feeling where you are in space. Where you are in this season. Where you are in your body. And all the contradictions of that. And if there's tension between some of those opposites, what would it be like to soften that tension and just embrace both? Okay. Great. I want to do some twists. Now, I really like doing this sequence with chairs, actually. Have you both got some kind of chair there? Yes, or give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Yes, maybe. Okay. Yeah, you could use the edge of the sofa. That would work. Cool. Let's keep the chairs at the edge of the mat, because I want to work next with a series of standing poses and lunges and twists linked together, because I kind of think twists get into I love the way that twists kind of get into the internal organs and also kind of bring movement to the spine. And for me, there's something that's it generates a lot of warmth, it generates a lot of energy. And sometimes I do that in the winter when it's cold because I need to stay warm. Well, to be honest, actually, it's starting to be a little bit chilly in this room here. But also, like in summer, I don't know, for me, this half of the class is about about embracing the intensity and embracing the warmth and the more intensity. So we'll do this set of poses, but one option is to do it with a chair. If you don't have a chair, you can do them without a chair. But I enjoy with the chair having that sort of, it's kind of the tension of having something there often to press my hands against, which in a standing pose are kind of, you know, you might have your hands in the air or hands on your body, but you can't kind of push against that in quite the same way. And there's something quite nice about the chair when it brings the floor up, and there's another, it's like a whole nother tension. Yeah, it can take away the tension in a way, like, or different things, but let's all play with it. Start standing up next to the chair. We'll start this sequence in Warrior One. So stand right up close to your chair, and then step your left foot back. No. Yeah, okay, let's do left foot back. Left foot step back, right foot is next to the chair. Bend your right knee, so your knee's next to the chair. So you've got Warrior One legs, your right leg forward, left leg back. Let's start off just with hands on hips. So this time your left heel is down on the floor. Nice. Everybody in the room is kind of facing out the room now to see the greenery outside. It is really nice. Sorry, people at home. I tried pointing the camera that way, but it was just whiting out. It was too bright. Okay, now come into eagle arms, crossing your left elbow on top of your right elbow. Noticing what opposites arise, what tensions arise, what differences arise. Each moment, each pose, each breath. Okay, now unwind your arms. Bring your left hand down onto the chair, or if you don't have a chair, you could brace your left forearm against your right thigh. That's also a possibility. And then take your right hand onto your hip and rotate your rib cage towards the right. So you're rotating towards the right with your rib cage. And if you want to here, you could take your right hand up in the air if that feels good, or you could keep your right hand on the hip. If you've got a chair, using the support of the chair, using the support of the floor. Feeling the own integral support of your legs, your hips, your body. Okay, untwist, step forwards, stand up, come into mountain pose with your hands in prayer position or hands by your side. Checking in with the right side of you, the left side of you. Noticing if sensation is different in your right and your left. And then stepping up to your chair, let's do that sequence on the other side. So with your left foot forward, step your right leg back. Is this the other side?
I can't remember.
I think left foot forward, right foot back. Because then you're going to twist. Yeah, because then you're going to twist this way. Yeah. Have your leg right up close to the chair, so you're really close to the chair. Okay, great. So just doing Warrior One with your hands on your hips first off. Feeling into your feet. So whatever surface you're on, whether you're on your mat or concrete or carpet or grass. And then add in eagle arms, this time with your right arm on top. Third pose was a version of twisting warrior. Take your right hand onto the chair or cross it over your left leg. Left hand is either on your hip or up in the air, and then you're rotating your rib cage around to the left. Have your head and neck in a position that feels congruent, that doesn't feel stressful to your head or neck or shoulders. Notice the places that you're grounded through. The difference between your back leg, your front leg, your hand. Like sometimes, almost with the chair here, it's easy to sort of start flying off your back leg. So feel stay connected through your right leg. If it feels okay with your heel on the floor. Does that go into your hip a bit?
No, we're just trying to work out, get it so that my heel is foot on the floor.
Yeah.
Just do it. I think it's the calf tendon.
Yeah. Okay, unwind out of that. Step forwards, come into mountain pose. Closing your eyes or softening your gaze. Feeling for the ecosystem of opposites within you. And then open your eyes. Let's do something more like a warrior two shape. So this time you're going to stand sideways onto your chair. Let's say have your chair next to your left foot. Yeah, doesn't matter which one. Have your chair on your left. And then feet really quite wide apart, like you're going to do warrior two. And then your left toes turn in towards the chair. Right toes turn in a bit. And then your left knee bends. There we go. Okay. So you're in warrior two legs. Yeah, left knee bent. Start off in just classic warrior one with your arms stretched out. Whether you prefer sort of looking along your hand or straight ahead. And notice the difference between both hands and both feet. The sensation in each hand and each foot. And then come into extended warrior. Let's do this by taking your left hand onto the chair, left knee stays bent. Right hand could either be on your hip or just stretching out to the side. So it might not be quite as deep as you normally do extended warrior. There's still an element of twist here. Your right chest is moving back. Notice if you're less aware of your right foot. And the last thing we'll play with on this side is half moon. Bring your hand that's in the air down onto your hip. And then you might need to step your left foot just away from the chair a tiny bit. And then place your left hand on the chair. You're going to stand on your left foot. And then you're exploring, lifting your right leg up to a horizontal, rotating your chest, and maybe lifting your hand up in the air. So you could do this with a hand on a chair or a sofa, or hand on a block, or even hand on the floor. If it doesn't feel okay to lift the leg today, you might just be sort of playing with, so you're lifting the leg up, and then you're playing with the twist, because there is a twist, playing with slowly rotating your belly, your ribs, your top hips going back. Just exploring this. If you're really used to doing this with your hand on the floor or hand on a block, it will feel different. Sometimes it's interesting to be a bit higher up. I don't know, it makes it easier, it makes it harder. Welcome to opposites. Okay, great. Bend your knees, bring your foot down to the floor. Give everything a bit of a wobble. And then we'll do those through the other side. So you need to be with your right foot near to the chair. And then legs quite wide apart. So right foot near to the chair. So warrior two legs, right toes turning in towards the chair, left toes coming in. Bend your right knee. Starting off with a normal warrior two, whatever your normal warrior two is. If it feels okay balance-wise, closing your eyes, just feeling for all the opposites that you're present to right now. Extended warrior. Bring your right hand down onto the chair. Left hand is on your hip or up in the air. Notice what your bent knee is doing, if it's kind of rolling in or out. Can you have your bent knee sort of pointing in the same direction as your toes? Yeah. Okay, bring your top hand down onto your hip. You might need to move your right foot a little bit away from the chair. Right hand staying on the chair. To then play with some part of half moon. So you're balancing on your right leg. Left leg is lifting up. Maybe rotating in your ribs and your hips. You can kind of do this through arm straight or arm bent, like exploring, having, yeah, one side might be more wobbly. Okay, then stretch away with the leg that's in the air, bring it down to the floor. And then come into downward facing dog with your hands on the chair. It could be on the seat of the chair or the back of the chair, or you could do downward facing dog with your hands on the floor. Bending your knees and stretching your hips back. Slightly outwardly rotating your shoulders. And then step forward, stand up. I'm going to do one more set of three poses with this chair. I'll show you first what they are, so you kind of have a sense of what's going on. So I'm going to do this on an angle. So imagine my mat is sort of parallel with the chair. First thing we'll do is triangle with the hand on the chair. Then the next thing we'll do is we'll reset the back leg so the hips are facing towards the chair, and do pyramid. So it's a little bit like triangle, but the back foot is angled in more. It's quite nice with the hands on the chair or the back of the chair. Or you can do hands on your legs if you don't have a chair there. Third thing we'll do is twisting triangle. For that, one of the hands stays on the chair, but this time your torso is twisting the other way around. So with triangle, you're kind of facing forwards. With a twisting triangle, I'm facing backwards. So let's give that a go. Again, chair is just one end of the mat. Starting off in triangle. So for triangle, let's start with a chair on one side. So let's have chair on your left-hand side, next to your left foot. Yeah, chair next to your left foot. Confusing myself with mirroring. And then feet about 3 feet apart, and then turn your left toes in towards the chair. Left toes point chair, right toes turn in a bit. Okay. Inhale, straighten your knees, straighten your arms. Exhale, hinge from around your hips. Bring your left hand down onto the floor, not the floor, the chair. Left hand onto the floor, the chair, your leg, any supporting surface. Right arm, go up in the air, or right hand on your hip. This can be into triangle. Okay, bring your hand that's in the air down to the chair. And then I want you to change your hip positioning so you're more facing towards the chair. So step your right foot to the right. Point your right toes a bit more towards the chair. So that, yeah. So you're like leveling your hips in the direction of the chair. And then press your hands into the chair, lift your chest forwards. Just doing pyramid with quite a straight back today. Now feel for using your right hand and your left hand evenly. And your right foot and your left foot more evenly. I'm mirroring, so don't worry about, that's fine. But your legs are doing different things. So you're not going to, you won't, well, you never feel the same thing anyway, but your front leg and your back leg are doing different things. But can you say have a similar amount of pressure in both legs? Then we'll do twisting triangle. So keep your right hand on the chair, take your left hand onto your hip, and now you're rotating your ribcage the opposite way to what you was in triangle. So you're rotating to your left. Yeah. Just twisting triangle. You might find you feel free enough here to take your left arm up in the air, but that feels scrunchy in your shoulder. Keep your hand on your hip. Yeah. Again, both legs are straight and both heels are on the ground. Maybe. Kind of if you're just sort of looking down towards the floor, towards the chair, experiment with continuing to rotate your rib cage around to the right. Just letting your head and neck be kind of easy in relation to the rest of your structure. Okay, untwist, bring both hands to the chair and step forwards. Stand up, and we'll do both those things on the other side. So triangle, this time with your right foot closest to the chair. So feet, so chair close to your right leg, feet about 3 feet apart, right toes turn in towards the chair, left toes turn in a bit. Inhale, stretch your arms out. Exhale, right hand comes down off the chair, left hand is either up in the air or on your hip. Noticing what opposites arise. Pyramid, bring the hand that's in the air down to the chair or onto your leg, and then reset your back foot. Move your left foot to the left and angle it more so your toes are pointing towards the chair or the front of your mat. Bringing your left hip back and your right hip forward. So you're facing more towards the short end of your mat or towards your chair if you're using a chair. And then feel for a sense of evenness between both hands and between both feet. Inhale, lift your chest forwards a little. Exhale, feeling both your feet. And then move into twisting triangle. Right hand on right hip, left hand stays on the chair. Rotating your torso around towards your right. Okay, and staying with a sense of evenness through your legs. Okay, unwind from that. Step forwards, come into mountain pose. Either with your eyes closed or if you've got some lovely nature in front of you, maybe gazing softly into the nature. Okay. So we'll come into like a relaxation section now. You're going to be warm enough, people in here. You've got a blanket, haven't you? So if you feel you need to apply more clothing, yeah, maybe put your coat on. One option, if you have one of these chairs here, is to use a chair, and you can also totally do this on a sofa as well. Depends on your chair. Sometimes you have to turn a chair sideways like this. With these ones, they've got kind of space at the back, so I can set up so my legs are supported. The lower legs are supported on the chair or the sofa, and that's quite nice. Now, if you don't have a chair or you don't want to do that, you could set yourself up in whatever your preferred version of Shavasana is. That's totally fine as well. setting yourself up so you feel comfortable and even. If you're doing the legs on the chair thing, I want you to shuffle right up to your chair. So wiggle your butt in like a caterpillar, so that as much of your legs are supported on the chair as possible. If you're in the room, do you want me to move it in? Can you tuck your toes? There we go. And then you could tuck your toe. You might be able to get your toes under. There we go. How's that? A little bit depends how tall your chair is and how long your legs is. Just setting yourself up however feels like it works best for you right now. And allowing yourself to rest. Drop back into rest and see what you notice, because we've been a bit more active, we've been a bit more, doing a bit more movement and a bit more sort of strong work in the body. As you slip back into stillness and into rest, noticing what insights arise. Any polarities or opposites or differences you're aware of. Making space for both sides. For the noisiness of the birds and the quietness of your breath. For the busyness of the summer and the peacefulness of the quiet moments. For the warmth, for the cold. For the active, for the passive. For the tightness, for the relaxedness. For anything that arises for you in your experience. Embracing all that as you drop into rest for 5-6 minutes or so. Feel the gentle movement of your breath. And feel a sense of the external breath, the wind. Wind's blowing around this place or around your house. And then bring your hands onto your chest and thank yourself for doing some yoga, some solstice yoga, to help you connect to your body, to help you connect to yourself at this big time of year. And if you want to stay resting for longer, feel free to stay resting for longer. It is Saturday. Hopefully you don't have to rush anywhere. But if you want to kind of get up and have a picnic or whatever, then if you're on the chair, if you bring your, sort of move your knees in towards your chest, then you can roll to the, and then you can roll to the side and free yourself from the chair. And then slowly sit up. Okay. So thank you so much to those of you who made it live. Siobhan and Ness and Pat and Erica. Thank you for doing Solstice Yoga with me. It's been really lovely. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great solstice when it comes around. May there be many solstice parties if you like this sort of thing. And I'll maybe see you in a class soon. Next month's workshop is all about the sacrum and tailbone, a bit about the anatomy of those areas, and some simple practices that you could do to sort of help you free up those areas and connect to those areas. I can't remember the date. It is in the booking system, but yeah, so I might see you at that if not before.